Normally, when criminals send letters with true confessions to crimes, they become vital pieces of information to catch the culprits. Whether it's the possibility of fingerprints left on the page, or even small details which make these anonymous criminal confessions not so anonymous. But not every letter leads to a mystery being solved. Number 5. In December of 1991, a tragic accident took place which seems to have destroyed the lives of two families. Gregory McRoberts was 24 years old and traveling by bicycle to a pub a short distance away. He'd left his car there as he'd been having car troubles earlier in the day. Gregory never made it back to his car, and his family reported him missing. A few weeks later, in early January, Gregory's body was found in a ditch at the side of the road. It was determined he'd passed away the day that he had gone missing, likely due to a hit and run. The vehicle that had hit Gregory was believed to be a light blue 1982 to 1987 four-door Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, despite the fact Gregory had been hit so close to his own home and the place he'd been traveling to. No one seemed to have any information that could lead them to the person responsible. The case went cold until March of 2005. Gregory's mother and father received a typed 2-page letter from the person claiming to be responsible for the accident. The person didn't give their name, but did reveal a number of personal details to the family. Keeping the secret for the past 14 years had apparently destroyed the letter writer's life. He explained the circumstances of the accident. Gregory had been riding in the wrong lane, and the driver hadn't seen him until it was too late. He claimed he hoped someone behind him would stop, and he didn't even know Gregory had passed away until a neighbor told him a few months later. The confession writer had destroyed his own life with drugs and alcohol, and his marriage fell apart. He'd recently started to get his life back on track, finding religion, and had gone to a lawyer to talk about confessing his crime. He was allegedly told the statute of limitations had run out, and he should just forget about it. The writer was unable to forget about what he had done, though. The writer seemed to show genuine regret for what had happened. Gregory's family went to the press, saying they forgave whoever the letter writer was, and said he had suffered long enough. They asked the writer to come forward, but nobody ever did. The letter was published in the local newspapers last year, in the hopes someone might recognize the circumstances the letter writer speaks about. In particular, he mentions a fishing trip he'd gone on with his teenage brother, in which his brother vanished for a short period of time. The family hopes someone might recognize the story and help lead them to the writer. Number 4. It was an ordinary Sunday morning in March of 1977 when Robert Deuschle lost his life. Robert was a 54-year-old traveling salesman, married with 5 children, and an active member of the local Catholic Church. That morning, he was getting ready for church, where he would be speaking during the service. He asked his wife for the confirmation of the pronunciation of a few words, then went outside to chat with a neighbor by the pool. A short while later, he came back inside. He asked his wife to get one of their children up to get ready, then went to the bathroom. While his wife, Jenny, was getting ready, she heard a loud bang, but thought it was a door slamming shut and didn't worry. She then went into the bathroom, where Robert was supposedly putting a medicine cream on his foot. Instead, she found her husband's body with a bullet wound to the chest and his shotgun beside him. Naturally, Jenny contacted police. It took them all of 15 minutes to come to the conclusion that Robert had taken his own life. The news was devastating to the family. As far as they knew, Robert hadn't been struggling with any mental health problems. According to investigators, he'd been depressed over a botched operation from 2 years earlier that left him with a painful foot condition. The family said that his foot didn't bother him much at all and couldn't understand how this happened. There were a few discrepancies in the case. A closer inspection of Robert's wound indicated the weapon had been pointed down at him, but Robert wouldn't have been able to reach the trigger. Instead, investigators say that he used his toe to pull the trigger, as he was found wearing only one shoe. Of course, another explanation for wearing one shoe was that he'd been putting on medicated cream. The family also questioned why he would go to such lengths when there was a handgun in the bedside drawer. Still, the case remained uninvestigated for several years, until just after the 15th anniversary of his death, Robert's son received an anonymous letter. The letter read, "I have AIDS. I'm dying. I must make peace with the Lord. I killed your dad 15 years ago. He found me in his bedroom. I had no choice. Please pray for me." The confession writer didn't leave any identifying information, although the postmark showed that it had been sent from Tampa. After the criminal confession, the family looked into the police investigation. They found that testimonies about Robert's mental health were given by people who hadn't known him for years, and that no fingerprints had been taken at the scene of the incident. Despite the new evidence, the case would not be reopened. A few years later, Jenny's sister met a woman who claimed to be a psychic while on a train from Florida to California. The woman was able to give a description of the crime scene, including the details like where Robert's foot treatment cream was set. She also claimed someone had broken in and attacked Robert. Police insisted there was no sign of a break-in, and people have questioned how Jenny would have been unable to hear the attack. Others have pointed to Robert's neighbor, who was later arrested for a string of robberies and passed away due to AIDS complications. Number 3. Just before 8:30 a.m. on December 2nd, 2013, Denise Bradley received a phone call from her husband, Larry. Larry was out deer hunting at the time. The last thing Denise expected to hear was her husband pleading for her to get his dad and come help him. He desperately tried to give her the exact location, indicating he was in a tree stand, but that was all he could get out before talking became too difficult. For about a minute, Denise tried to get Larry to respond to her, but he never would. Larry's body was found in a tree, and he'd passed away due to a bullet wound. Police appealed for information about what could have happened. It was deer hunting season at the time, and though the land was private property, it was possible hunters might have wandered onto the land and seen something which could have been important. Several weeks later, in early January, police received a letter not from someone who had seen what happened, but the culprit himself. The handwritten criminal confession was filed with spelling mistakes and offered an apology for what had happened, but no identifying information about the writer. According to the writer, he'd been hunting on public land when he followed a deer he'd hit over the border into the private property. He tried to hit the deer again, but his aim was off. Instead, he heard someone start yelling. As he didn't have permission to be hunting on the property, the writer ran back to the public land and pretended nothing had happened. He claimed his life had changed forever and wanted to pass on how sorry he was to the police. He said he wasn't a bad man, just scared and sorry. Larry's family have said this wasn't enough. If this really was an accident, they want the person responsible to come forward, for his own sake as well as theirs. Over the years, there have been numerous appeals for information, but so far, the letter was the last major development in the case. Number 2. Danielle LaRue disappeared sometime in November of 2002. She'd not been seen since, and as her disappearance wasn't even made public until May of 2003, it's possible she would have come many of the First Nations women to disappear unnoticed if it had not been for an anonymous letter sent to police. Danielle had a difficult upbringing and wound up living on the streets. She became addicted to illegal substances and turned to prostitution to support herself and her younger siblings. The exact date is unknown, but sometime in late November, Danielle disappeared. It's also not clear when exactly police were alerted to her disappearance. In the years since she's vanished, a number of family members have made appeals for information, but it's not known how soon any of them would have noticed anything was wrong. What is known is that police received a letter on New Year's Eve informing them a prostitute working in the city had passed away a few weeks earlier. The writer began by saying he'd told the police about the incident shortly afterwards, but he hadn't seen anything about it in the news, so he assumed the message hadn't gotten to them. He then went on to describe a prostitute who'd gone missing at the end of November. He didn't know her name, but gave a description that matched Danielle's and stated bluntly that she was no longer alive. He apologized to Danielle's family, claiming responsibility for her death, and said he had tried his hardest to bring her back. He asked police to publish her name in local newspapers so he could relearn it, and said that he brought flowers to her grave. Much of the confession hadn't been revealed to the press. The police didn't even make it publicly known that they'd received the letter until years later. It's impossible to know how authentic the letter was. As Danielle's disappearance hadn't been publicized when it was written, it seemed like the writer knew Danielle had disappeared, but her siblings are still hopeful she may still be alive somewhere. Others have connected the case to serial killer Robert Pickton, who claimed he took the lives of 49 people, though he's only ever been connected to 26. The language in the letter may suggest Danielle passed away due to a drug overdose, which the writer had enabled. Whatever the case, police and Danielle's family have asked for the writer to come forward, or at the very least, tell them where her remains are so they can get some closure. Number 1. Cheri Jo Bates was a first-year student at Riverside Community College in California in 1969. She had dreams of being a flight attendant and was attending university to try to make her application as good as possible when the next round of hirings took place. On October 30th, 1966, she was spending the Sunday putting the finishing touches on a paper about the Electoral College, only to discover she'd lost her bibliography. After writing a brief note to her dad to explain where she had gone, she left her home in her green Volkswagen Beetle to visit the university library. Friends saw Cheri outside the library, waiting for it to open at around 5:40 p.m. The library would open at 6 p.m. The only other person to confirm they saw Cheri at the library was the librarian, though she couldn't confirm when that was. Cheri's father contacted police later that evening when his daughter didn't come home. The following morning, at about 6:30 a.m., Cheri's body was found on a side street that led from the library to the student parking area. Cheri had been the victim of a horrific attack which shocked the community, but the criminal responsible has never been caught. The car was about 200 feet away from her body. The windows were rolled down, her key was in the ignition, and the books she checked out from the library were found inside. More importantly, the car's distributor had been tampered with. A wire had been disconnected so that the car wouldn't start. Police collected evidence from the scene. Hairs which did not belong to Cheri were found clasped in her hands. Hand and fingerprints were found around her car, but despite this, they could not lead police to any suspects. In December of 1966, police and local newspapers received identical, disturbing true confession letters from the person responsible for Cheri's death. The writer gave a detailed account of what had happened, including that he'd offered to rescue Cheri by offering her a ride home after sabotaging her car. He also revealed details that hadn't been made public by police. The writer claimed that Cheri had to pay for the brush-offs she'd given him years earlier, and told police that there would be more victims. He described 2 potential future victims, women he saw in the local community, and warned the community that it would be their own fault if they didn't take steps to stop him. A few months later, 3 more taunting letters were received. They were short and to the point, saying Bates had to die, there will be more. These were also handwritten, and some experts later found similarities between these letters and the letters sent by the Zodiac Killer. Many have speculated that Cherry may have been the infamous killer's first victim. There are many similarities, and in one confirmed Zodiac letter, he refers to his Riverside activities, although there's no way of confirming whether he actually meant Cherry or not. Police believe Cherry's ex-boyfriend, or a man who had repeatedly asked Cherry on dates, may have been responsible, but they don't have enough evidence to arrest either of them. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knots, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.